Product review time. HZRDUS Black Gen 4, so the latest in the line, the Project X HZRDUS Black series. Original HZRDUS Black, then created Smoke Black, then RDX Black, and then the HZRDUS 4th Gen. So as a shaft profile, it's always been designed around stiff tip, lower launch, lower spin, designed at a more aggressive swing style. The update on this is the dual torsion technology. So essentially, much like other brands are trying to do as well, using the material construction and the layering and where they're using particular materials within the shaft to stop that shaft from twisting and ovaling and distorting through the swing. So with the HZRDUS Black series, it's a stiff butt, extra stiff, very, very stiff midsection, and then a stiff tip. So everything designed around hanging on tight to the shaft, really designed around someone who's got not necessarily just a sort of fast swing, but what we call a fast tempo, a heavy loader. So someone who kind of changes direction and works the shaft hard, the midsection is the bit that takes the brunt of that. So by going stiffer in the middle section, it stops that shaft moving and bowing and oscillating quite so much. Hangs onto the face tighter, in principle creating lower launch, lower spin, and structurally a very kind of stout profile. So within the different weight ranges, you'll always see a marker point of a 60, a 70, 50 on the shaft, which are generally weight boundaries. So the 60 would be somewhere between 60 and 70. The 70 would generally be somewhere between 70 and 80. With the HZRDUS Black series, it sits in the lower half of that. So the 60 is pretty much bang on 60 grams, just between 60 and at the stiffest end, their TX is a 65, but the others are just over 60 grams. The 70, actually in the R-Flex, is slightly under 70 grams, and then creep to sort of 70, 72. So they sit in the lower region of that, whereas a lot of shafts will sit in the upper half between 65 and 70, 75 and 80. So dead weight, not particularly heavy relative to the labeling on the shaft. Historically, the HZRDUS Black has always swung quite tip heavy. It's always been, because of the stability in the tip end, the balance point has sat quite a long way down. The RDX changed that was a higher balance point, and then this one is sort of more mid to low. So it's something that, because of the stability and the structure in the shaft, you feel the lower half of the shaft a little bit more than some others. But it's not a heavily tip weighted shaft, so there are some shafts at the bottom end really drops in. This isn't one of them, but you get a decent amount of feedback for the bottom half of the club. So going to hit a couple of shots with it, have a look at the data, see how it feels to hit, give a little bit of feedback, and see what we get from it. As I say, so generally designed around, when we talk about a faster tempo and a heavier load, someone with a softer load in terms of transition, it's a more gradual change of direction, a gradual build up of speed, so looks a little bit of a quieter tempo. A stronger change of direction and a stronger load, that change there is going to stress the shaft a little bit more. So it doesn't necessarily mean you get more club speed, but it loads the shaft and stresses the shaft in a different way. So you're more likely to stress that midsection, upper section with a heavy change and a sharp change of direction to pull down on the handle, whereas someone who's got a very kind of gradual build up and more of a body rotation swing, you're putting much less stress on this part of the shaft. So it's the former, it's the heavier load that this has really been engineered for. So, which is not necessarily how I swing it, but so we'll get a little bit of data and see how we go. So a little low on the face there, but again, straight away you can feel like the shaft feels like a piece of material. There's not got that kind of load and kick that you get out of other models where they're designed to give a little bit more flight, a little bit more spin, a little bit more launch. This one's very much that slightly kind of tighter feel. I'll see if I can find a little bit more of the club face with this one. Just whip that over a little. Swing's got a bit out of shape, just to drag it over. But what I can feel is, so I can feel my swing wanting to go left with that one, but there's no sensation of the toe kicking. So someone who's got a left hand miss, this kind of shaft is going to feel a bit safer than one that has a little bit of load and kick, because it's not going to feel like the shaft's doing anything accentuating any of that miss. And where you kind of, if you're going to load strongly, you're not getting that sensation of the club lagging and moving. So sometimes shafts can feel a little bit wobbly. The reality is they don't move that much, but that sensation really amplifies through the shaft. So it's a very, very tight, stable feel. There we go, hit that one a little bit better. So it's definitely for someone who's got a little bit more, I guess a little bit more speed, but wants to feel that real kind of tight connection through the club. definitely a very good shaft from that. You can see that last one's gone 10 yards further, actually found the right bit of the face. So I'm going to switch over to a data screen just to see what we find here, open those shots up. So yeah, you can see the last shot, the one at the top there, I found a much better position on the face. She got it up the face a little bit more. That was the part of the problem. The first two were a little bit low strike. So you can see launch angle on those two down at just under 10, whereas that last one up at 12.5 where I've got it up the face a bit more. But what is notable there is on that last one, which is a really solid contact, how low that spin is. So there's really no real kind of kick and pop. And even the first two actually that weren't great contacts, the spin's not particularly high, which from a lower strike on the face, you normally see that spin gear up a reasonable bit. So certainly feel-wise to hit with very, very stout. That's exactly where it's been designed. It's exactly what they want from the club, from the shaft. But the other element to that is that lower spin side of things. So, I mean, they've also, I think if we go, looks play a part in this. The fact that it's just a straight black shaft with a silver bit of writing on, it's a nice look. It's a nice look to the shaft. Ultimately, it's, shouldn't play a part in it. From our point of view, it's all about performance, but we all like the club to look nice. So, you've got to, depending on, when we do our builds, we do the peering, so there's no guarantee of where the logo is going to come out, but if you get fortunate it comes out straight on the underneath, it's just a really clean, with where we've gone away from coloured heads a lot of the time now, it's a very kind of, I'm not going to use a particular word because that's using a brand name, but it's a very kind of clean, simple, classic look. The black shaft and a little bit of a highlight on the writing's always been a nice thing to look down on. So ultimately, it's a continuation of a line that's always been very successful, and say certainly geared towards the stronger swing or the player that wants to feel that really tight, firm, and almost anti-left sensation from the club. So anyone with an aggressive swing or who kind of likes the feel of almost a fade-biased club, definitely a good shaft for you. If you're someone who struggles with a left-to-right shot shape, probably not going to be something that's going to feel particularly nice to use. But all around, say you can see the progression from it. Feels a nice, sort of stable product. It's going to feel like it gives you a bit of consistency. Again, got it in here to test out. So come and try it alongside the other 200 shafts we have on the wall and see what works best for you.